1. The least educated cities in America, shocking results. 2. Why Providence's education ranking falls behind, breaking down this study. 3. NC cities top U.S. education rankings. Durham-Chapel Hill shines, Hickory struggles. 4. America's least educated cities 2025. California and Texas ranked. 5. Rockford ranked 131st most educated city in the U.S. What does it mean? 1. The least educated cities in America, shocking results. The educational divide, revealing America's academic wastelands. A startling revelation has emerged from the heart of California's agricultural region, where one city now bears the unwanted title of America's least educated metropolitan area, according to groundbreaking research released by WalletHub. The personal finance intelligence platform recently conducted an extensive evaluation of America's 150 most populous metropolitan statistical areas, MSAs, scrutinizing them across 11 distinct educational metrics to determine which cities boast the most intellectually enriched populations and which ones are falling behind. WalletHub's comprehensive assessment framework examined two fundamental dimensions: the educational achievement levels of local residents and the overall quality of each area's educational ecosystem. Researchers analyzed everything from high school completion rates to advanced degree attainment percentages. They also evaluated the performance standards of local educational institutions and examined whether educational opportunities were equally accessible across demographic boundaries, including race and gender. These diverse factors were synthesized into a single score out of a possible 100 points. The struggling educational landscapes of America. At the bottom of this educational hierarchy sits Visalia, California, which earned a disheartening score of merely 9.12 out of 100. This agricultural community ranked 149th in educational attainment and 147th in quality and attainment gap measurements, securing its unfortunate position as America's educational basement. Visalia doesn't stand alone in its academic challenges. The Texas border communities of Brownsville-Harlingen and McAllen-Edinburg-Mission claimed the second and third positions from the bottom, while another California city, Bakersfield, rounded out the four lowest performing areas. A recurring pattern among these struggling regions is their notably low college graduation rates coupled with stubborn disparities in educational access, particularly affecting students from economically disadvantaged backgrounds and minority communities. But here's where it gets controversial. A distinct geographic concentration becomes impossible to ignore. 8 of the 10 least educated metropolitan regions are located in either southern or western states, with California alone housing 5 of these struggling communities. This geographic clustering suggests deeper structural issues that transcend individual city policies or local educational initiatives. The contrasting educational powerhouses. In stark contrast, America's most academically accomplished cities, Ann Arbor, Michigan, Durham-Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and Madison, Wisconsin, share a common characteristic. They serve as homes to prestigious academic institutions and demonstrate substantial community investment in educational excellence. The locations in WalletHub's list correlate to the sites of some of the most prestigious universities in the country, hence why they are the most educated places, explained Taishia Redden, assistant professor of urban planning at the University of Toronto, in a statement to Newsweek. Accordingly, those places will have a populace with higher than average incomes to pay property taxes, which will in turn fund K-12 education and the social capital necessary to demand higher quality K-12 education for their children. The statistics from these educational frontrunners tell a compelling story. Ann Arbor, Michigan boasts nearly 96% of adults aged 25 and above holding at minimum a high school diploma. More impressively, over 58% possess bachelor's degrees, while 31% have secured advanced academic credentials, figures that rank among the nation's highest. Durham, North Carolina demonstrates similar academic strength, with more than 52% of adult residents holding at least a bachelor's degree and 26% having achieved graduate or professional qualifications. These aren't merely abstract statistics. They represent tangible advantages for residents of these communities. The real-world implications. And this is the aspect many discussions overlook. Educational attainment serves as perhaps the single most powerful engine driving economic opportunity, public health outcomes, and intergenerational social mobility in American society. Higher education doesn't guarantee better financial opportunities in the future, but it certainly correlates with it, noted WalletHub analyst Chip Lupo. The most educated cities provide good learning opportunities from childhood all the way through the graduate level. Professor Redden reinforced this critical connection, stating that education still remains the top factor in social mobility in the United States, and its relationship to place has long allowed education experts and social policy planners to track the continuity of social affluence or the likelihood of mobility according to one zip code. This geographical educational divide raises profound questions about American society. Are we witnessing the consequences of localized educational failures, or does this pattern reflect deeper systemic inequalities? Should federal intervention play a greater role in educational standardization, or should communities maintain autonomy over their educational approaches? Is the correlation between prestigious universities and educated populations a healthy symbiotic relationship, or a troubling indicator of educational privilege? Do you believe your own community's educational landscape is helping or hindering local residents? Have you experienced the benefits or challenges of America's educational divide firsthand? Share your perspective in the comments. This conversation impacts every American concerned with educational equality and opportunity. Update July 3, 25, 11:22 a.m. Eastern Time. Additional insights from Taishia Redden and information regarding federal education funding initiatives have been incorporated into this article. 2. Why Providence's education ranking falls behind. Breaking down this study. Providence falls behind in national rankings for education. Here's why it matters more than you think. A recent nationwide study has placed the Providence metro area near the bottom of the list when it comes to education levels, a troubling revelation for a region that prides itself on its academic institutions. The analysis, which evaluated the 150 largest metropolitan areas across 11 key metrics, highlights everything from bachelor's degree attainment to racial disparities in education and public school quality. But here's where it gets controversial. While cities actively compete to attract highly educated residents for economic growth, Providence isn't keeping up. And this is the part most people miss. Education isn't just about individual success. It's a driving force behind a city's financial health. Why education and location matters more than ever. Highly educated workers don't just earn more. They contribute more in taxes, stimulate local economies, and often seek out communities where their credentials translate into opportunity. According to the Economic Policy Institute, cities with strong education systems see long-term financial benefits as a result. Yet, not all graduates flock to the same places. Some prefer hubs teeming with like-minded professionals for networking and social connections. Others might opt for smaller cities where they stand out. But here's the catch. Providence isn't just lagging in degree holders, it's also struggling with educational equity. A college degree doesn't guarantee success, but it undeniably improves the odds, says Chip Lupo, an analyst at WalletHub. The best educated cities don't just have high graduation rates, they also prioritize equal access to quality education across racial and gender lines. New England's education divide. Where does Providence stand? Out of the 10 New England metro areas studied, Providence-Warwick ranks a dismal ninth. Only Springfield, Massachusetts, performs worse. Meanwhile, Boston, Portland, and even smaller cities like Manchester, Nashua outshine Rhode Island's capital. Here's the full breakdown. Number 10, Boston, Cambridge, Newton, MANH. Number 13, Portland, South Portland, Maine. Number 17, Bridgeport, Stamford, Norwalk, CT. Number 25, Hartford, East Hartford, Middletown, CT. Number 27, New Haven, Milford, CT. Number 29, Manchester, Nashua, NH. Number 42, Worcester, MCT. Number 95, Providence, Warwick, RMA. Number 120, Springfield, Massachusetts. At the top, Ann Arbor, Michigan, home to the University of Michigan. At the very bottom, Visalia, California. The big question, can Providence turn this around? With Rhode Island already ranked as the least educated state in New England, the stakes are high. Critics argue that without significant investment in schools and policies that attract and retain graduates, the region's economy could suffer long-term consequences. But here's where opinions clash. Some believe Providence's charm and affordability could be its saving grace, while others insist that without major reforms, the city will keep losing talent to neighboring metros. What do you think? Should Providence focus on improving its schools, offering incentives for graduates, or both? And is education really the best measure of a city's potential, or are we overlooking other critical factors? Share your thoughts below. 3. NC City's top U.S. education rankings. Durham-Chapel Hill shines, Hickory struggles. Educational powerhouses and surprising gaps. North Carolina's academic landscape revealed. Hold on to your diplomas, education enthusiasts. A groundbreaking study by WalletHub has just uncovered some eye-opening insights about educational achievement across American metropolitan areas, and North Carolina is stealing the spotlight in unexpected ways. The pinnacle of learning, North Carolina's educational triumph. Imagine a state where academic excellence isn't just a dream, but a reality. North Carolina has emerged as a true education powerhouse, with 2 metropolitan areas cracking the top 10 most educated regions in the entire United States. But here's where it gets interesting. Durham-Chapel Hill, the academic crown jewel. Sitting proudly at number 2 nationwide, the Durham-Chapel Hill metro area is nothing short of a scholarly sensation. Picture this. Over half of the adult population, 52%, boasts at least a bachelor's degree, with an impressive 26% holding advanced graduate or professional credentials. But wait, there's more. The region doesn't just excel in numbers. It ranks an outstanding 8th in university quality and 16th in summer learning opportunities. The other side of the academic coin, unexpected challenges. Not all North Carolina regions are basking in educational glory. And this is the part most people miss. The Hickory-Lenoir-Morganton area finds itself near the bottom of the educational rankings, landing at a challenging 142nd place out of 150 metropolitan areas studied. Asheville, the middle ground maverick. Nestled in the scenic western North Carolina mountains, Asheville carves out a respectable middle ground. Ranking 28th overall with a solid score of 66.17 out of 100, the city demonstrates a balanced approach to educational attainment. Its educational ranking sits at 29th, with a quality of education score hovering around 53rd. Behind the numbers, how WalletHub crunched the data. WalletHub didn't just throw darts at a statistical board. Their comprehensive study meticulously examined 150 metropolitan statistical areas using 11 critical metrics. These metrics dove deep into educational attainment, quality of education, and the critical gaps in educational opportunities. The national educational landscape. A closer look. Top performers. 1. Ann Arbor, Michigan. 2. Durham-Chapel Hill, North Carolina. 3. Madison, Wisconsin. 4. San Jose Sunnyvale, Santa Clara, California. 5. Washington Arlington Alexandria, D.C. metro area. Bottom of the barrel. 146. Modesto, California. 147. Bakersfield, California. 148. McAllen-Edinburg-Mission, Texas. 149. Brownsville-Harlingen, Texas. 150. Visalia, California. Provocative questions for reflection. What drives the significant educational disparities within a single state? How do geographical and economic factors influence educational opportunities? Can metropolitan areas with lower rankings develop strategies to boost educational attainment? We invite you to share your thoughts, experiences, and perspectives in the comments below. Education is a journey, not a destination, and every story matters. For America's Least Educated Cities 2025, California and Texas ranked. In today's fast-paced world, many people overlook the critical role education plays in shaping success, particularly for underserved communities. This article explores how the U.S. ranks its most and least educated cities, highlighting the findings of a new WalletHub study that identifies key insights into educational equity. The study analyzed metropolitan statistical areas across 11 categories, including educational attainment and quality of education and attainment gap, to determine the nation's top and bottom-ranked cities. These findings reveal that California and Texas stand out as among the least educated regions, with over 20 cities in both states ranked at the bottom of the list. Here's a breakdown of the 2025 least educated cities. 1. Visalia, California. 2. Brownsville-Harlingen, Texas. 3. McAllen-Edinburg-Mission, Texas. 4. Bakersfield, California. 5. Modesto, California. 6. Fresno, California. 7. Stockton, California. 8. Salinas, California. 9. Hickory-Lenoir-Morganton, North Carolina. 10. Beaumont-Port Arthur, Texas. 11. Corpus Christi, Texas. 12. Ocala, Florida. 13. Riverside-San Bernardino, Ontario, California. 14. Lakeland-Winter Haven, Florida. 15. Reading, Pennsylvania. 16. Huntington-Ashland, West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio. 17. Lafayette, Louisiana. 18. Youngstown, Warren Boardman, Ohio, Pennsylvania. 19. El Paso, Texas. 20. Rockford, Illinois. How was the data gathered? The study compared 150 largest metropolitan statistical areas across 11 categories, including educational attainment and quality of education and attainment gap. Researchers assessed benchmarks such as educational attainment and quality of education, grading them on a 100-point scale. They also used data on the share of Americans aged 25 and older with a bachelor's degree to evaluate public school quality and gender-based education gaps. The methodology involved analyzing data from the U.S. Census Bureau, greatschools.org, and other relevant organizations. Why you should care. WalletHub released a new study analyzing the U.S. ranking of its most and least educated cities. The rankings were created by comparing 150 largest metropolitan statistical areas across 11 categories, including educational attainment and quality of education and attainment gap. Researchers assessed these benchmarks and graded them on a 100-point scale, with 100 representing a perfect score. This study was reported from Washington, D.C., based on information provided by WalletHub. 5. Rockford ranked 131st most educated city in the U.S. What does it mean? Imagine living in a city where your educational opportunities could dictate your future success. This is the reality for many across the United States, and a recent study by WalletHub has shed light on where cities stand in terms of education. The study evaluated 150 metropolitan statistical areas, MSAs, in the U.S., including 4 from Illinois: Rockford, Peoria, Chicago-Naperville-Elgin, and Davenport-Moline Rock Island. But here's where it gets controversial. The criteria and implications of such rankings can stir up quite the debate. WalletHub's analysis was based on 11 metrics, which included the percentage of adults over 25 with at least a bachelor's degree, the quality of local public schools, and the educational disparities across gender and racial lines. The findings are a mix of expected results and surprising insights. For instance, Rockford, with its inclusion of Winnebago and Boone counties, ranked 131st, trailing behind cities like Flint, Michigan, and Biloxi, Mississippi, but outpacing El Paso, Texas, and Youngstown, Ohio. Peoria found itself in a slightly better position at 89th, nestled between Cleveland, Ohio, and Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, but ahead of Knoxville, Tennessee, and Springfield, Missouri. On the brighter side, Madison, Wisconsin, home to the prestigious University of Wisconsin-Madison, secured the 3rd spot nationally. This highlights the significant impact that major universities can have on a city's educational ranking. The top honor went to Ann Arbor, Michigan, renowned for its high concentration of degree holders and quality educational institutions. This city not only boasts the highest percentage of bachelor's and associate degree holders, but also ranks impressively in terms of university and public school quality. At the other end of the spectrum, Visalia, California, was ranked as the least educated, with the lowest percentage of degree holders. This stark contrast raises questions about the economic and social impacts of educational disparities. And this is the part most people miss: the broader implications of such disparities on a city's economic resilience and social fabric. Cornell Thomas, a WalletHub analyst and professor, argues that cities need diverse educational profiles to weather economic shocks effectively. He criticizes the prevailing corporate greed that undermines equitable income distribution, suggesting that better profit-sharing policies could enhance the quality of life for lower-income earners. Now, let's talk about what this means for us. How do we interpret these rankings, and what actions can cities take to improve their educational landscapes? Do you agree with the methodology used in these rankings, or do you see a different story behind the numbers? Share your thoughts, and let's delve deeper into the implications of education on urban development and equality.